is up, guys? I'm Lord Nicky bringing you another One Piece related video. This video, guys, we're going over changes that I am making to my deck list. No promise that we'll be doing weekly videos, but you know, I am enjoying this meta a bit more. I'm enjoying Rebecca currently, as there is a lot of testing that I can be doing and such, and the meta feels new and revitalized and different than it did before. Most of the decks that we are running into are not ones that are completely unwinnable. Though I will say that Shanks has become significantly harder if they hit the cards they need to see to remove our characters properly. But in testing this last week, I did play local. I did go to a locals. It was a 4-round locals. I went 2-2 this last week, which is not a terrible feel for, you know, kind of having a test list more or less together. And my conclusion was that the Franky package is just not necessarily worth it. Franky, Scarlet, and Kyros are all three cards that I'm kind of like iffy on keeping at all. They just were not adding enough value overall to the deck. Most of the time, the Scarlets were okay, but the Kyroses, there was only a few times that I really wanted to reanimate them and reuse them, and in such, they were a nice target for Rebecca for sure. But most of the time, I wanted to use my Rebecca just to get back a 2K. I did always need to have a play for the Rebecca, and oftentimes I actually preferred either playing a Toy Soldier or a 1-drop Rebecca, either to get card advantage or to set up for playing a Zoro to follow it up and be able to clear something bigger. So ultimately, the deck was just not necessarily as functional as it needed to be. There was a lot of inconsistencies because of how this list was shaped out, and that kind of happens when you have a lot of diverse options and you're trying to give yourself a lot more options to be able to deal with a wider range of decks. On top of that, I tried to have too many answers for what I assumed would be a much wider meta. At least in my local scene, it's looking like that there's going to be a good number of Shanks, there's going to be a good number of Blackbeard, and a pretty sizable number of Bonnies. And then in the in-between decks would be the Smokers, a little bit of those. And that's about it. I didn't really see a lot of Zoros popping up, which is what everybody on YouTube had been kind of talking about, and a lot of my buddies up in Austin were talking about kind of showing up in their meta. There are a couple of people that are trying out Boa and Dofi still, I think, but pretty much all the black decks fell off. Nobody wants to try them, which means that Rebecca's worst possible matchups are not really there. Reijus can still pop up from time to time, but for the most part, most of our bad matchups aren't there, so we just need to lean into having a consistent win condition. So the way that I've decided to do that is by increasing the number of Aramakis up to 3, maintaining 3 Kuzans, and then increasing our Cavendish up to 3. We are dropping the Kyroses, so yes, we do lose some of our early KO power, but we still have the Zoros as an option. We have added in 2 Cavendishes so that we have recurring KO power and the ability to attack actives without having to have Gyats. There is an argument that 7-drop Luffy could be a good tool as well, but I didn't want that many above 7 costed bricks, no counter power cards, right? Because that would put us up to a grand total of 10 cards of 7 cost or higher that would be of no counter power. Though there is still some argument to having the Luffys because of how just good and versatile of a card they are. I have not elected to do that quite yet, though I might lean in that way. I think Cavendish should be sufficient. He should be sufficient because he kind of does that job of, yes, he is a 1 of 7k swing, but he also still gives us some usefulness into if aggro does start popping up a bit more. He has that ability to pop them, so we can swing and one of the cool things that he does give us that usage of is if we get to a Kuzan turn and then afterwards they try to go wide on like a Bonney or a Smoker build where they have multiple defending units, we can use the Cavendish to clear multiple defenses for 6 Dawn by swinging 7 into, say, a Tashigi while popping, or swinging 7 into a Rosinante while popping a Tashigi. So now they lose their 2 things that defend their stuff, and then we can drop a Zoro and clear out something, right? Like there is that option that we now have available to us, which is very, very nice. Very, very strong option for us as well. And then we still have our general reduction package. We increased our Sabos up to 3, and only 1 of the black. It might end up being a 2-2 split here soon, but I do like having the 12 2Ks in total. I don't think we need the full 4 Bardos. I think 3 is sufficient. We'll see at least 1 in trash, and we can recycle that 1 pretty consistently. Still very important to have the 4 one-legged soldiers, just because the toy soldier is actually just a really good reduction piece. And then the 2 Gyats I think is still important because the on-curve ability to allow Cavendish to swing into actives, to allow Luffy to swing into actives, to allow Zoro to swing into actives. Like, these are useful tools to have that for. We do have a little bit more aggression, but we are still very much a fatigue go late deck. And then we also have the gravity blades now that I'm adding in, because these will help us with the go wide strategy some. Now, there is an argument that I don't necessarily need this card as much, and Red Rock would be the better option. So while we are still in testing, just note that if you decide that your meta is a lot slower and you don't need the answer to the wide board as much, but you just need the answer to answer big things, Red Rock is probably the better option. Though if we can get to late game and have Ooze on stick, then Gravity Blade just effectively is that to remove 2 characters every turn type of thing for us. But there's a lot of arguments to be made. Red Rock is arguably better just due to the fact that you can Red Rock and put out a Zoro, and there you go. You've now developed a body and taking care of 2. That is something that I will concede is better in most cases. So, you know, to each their own. Right now I'm testing Gravity Blade. I may move to Red Rock just because my meta is going to 10 drops very heavily, but I did want to get a little bit of gameplay in as well. We are going to test in this meta. Let's see, let's refresh lobbies. Let's see if we can take on a Shanks here. No Shankses. We might have to settle for a non-Shanks deck. I'd like to settle for a meta deck at least. Oh my goodness, please let me have a... There we go, Shanks. Nope, Shanks. Oh my goodness, Bonney. Cool. Hey, we get to choose to go second here. We have stage. This isn't that great of a start hand, but we will keep it. Just because this isn't bad, and having 2 2Ks stage early is just super useful. So now we can actually search for stuff. Well, we found the Zoro, so we will search still. We'll take the Rebecca, we'll play the stage, we'll pass. So now if he decides to put out like 2 searchers this turn for whatever reason, we can clear them. If he just goes 8 face, alright, we can clear this, that's fine. We're just going to Zoro pop this early. Give him a 2K so we don't take early damage. Zoro, rest of the stage, pop this. We now have tempo. They could go into something that is going to be more meaningful to pop. They didn't. Cool. We are going to eat that damage. It's fine. Really quick, easy paced game. 7 cards, huh? We are going to attack 6. Okay, go ahead and rest my leader, that's fine. I'm going to put down this. Activate leader, take a Cavendish, play the Rebecca, take a 2K, end the turn. Alright, so we have a Cavendish, so we can actually start clearing board here shortly. Okay, Carrot's going to lock the Zoro, that's fine by me. Give you a 2K. We want to clear this Carrot, so what we're going to do... I want to save this for when he has actual big characters. I'm going to play you, deploy you. Head on here. -3, 7 into the Carrot, use card, KOU, rest leader. So now it's going to cost him a 2K. He can rest our Sabo if he wants. Cool. We still have 1K counter that we can give up. We have 10 Dawn. We'll see what he tries to go for here. He's on 9. He could Shanks and pop something and then swing Carrot, lock something down. Nope, he has the Cavendish. That's fine. He's trying to go a little wider. Okay, you freeze the cav. It's not a big deal to me. I'm gonna swing 6 into the Sabo. I'm gonna keep him alive. See if we can get the leader swinging. There we go. Did this job. So we just deploy this, KOU, and turn. We're okay with this. We're still in a pretty good spot. The carrot is annoying. He's probably going to get this turn, but we can then remove 2 characters, and if he doesn't, like, he's going to freeze the cav again, but I'd rather him freeze the cav opposed to just getting extra Dawn back every turn. Okay, he didn't freeze the cav. I'll give you a 1k. I'll force more swings here so that I don't have to block out. That's fine. Ugh, all these stages. I need draw power as much as I like the Rebecca. Attack 10. Alright, I think we've milled out of 2 Kuzons here. Already has a kid, so now he can't clear Kuzon, which is fine by me. I'll give you a 1k. I need the swing. Oh, he didn't clear it. I might as well do the 10k swing at life. He's going to rest this. Take a Moncherie, play the Moncherie, activate the Moncherie. We want to put Aramaki back. We want to put something like Luffy back. Add... Probably an Orlumbus wouldn't be a bad pick here. Like, this 2k would be very nice. But an Orlumbus pick just gives us a backup in case he has the Shanks for this right now. Rebecca's not a bad option either. I'll take the Rebecca. Swing 5. Alright, so he needs a Shanks to answer here. Doesn't have it. He has McDish. Cool. So on 7, I guess he could Hody here. It's not huge, but, you know, it's something for him. Nope, he's just going for the dish. Or he's just going for him, sure. You have no Dawn remaining. So, I need... What do I need back? Alright, let's activate. We're going to put Kuzon back. We're going to put Sabo back. We're going to grab Orlumbus. Does that do anything for us here? We'd have 1 Dawn remaining. We found the Zoro. Okay, we got there. Move that. Attack 6 at lead. 6 at lead. And turn. Okay. Alright, he's got the kid now. cards. Means there's a Luffy in here probably. See, I've put 4 cards back, so we don't know 4 cards. So we're still missing a Luffy, I think, that we haven't milled yet. Yeah, we haven't milled a Luffy. We haven't hit the other, and both Monsteroos are in trash, so yeah. So 1 Luffy is unaccounted for. We've seen all our Kuzans. We've seen 2 of our Amakis, so that means they're probably in here or in here. This card doesn't do anything for you. Where are you going with that? Sure, you get my draw power. It's fine by me, dude. Sure. There's a 2K. 7. I don't want to lose one of my 6K attacks, but I need to. Becca, we're going to grab back a Zoro. I can deploy the Gyats here so that we can clear that, but that means we lose one more swing here. Or one more 2K out of hand here. Move this. 3 cards left, so I can't even activate leader or play this. So then I need to do 6. Which he has a blocker. He's going to rest probably this Zoro. I mean, this is going relatively well for us here. The 1 Gravity Blade set us pretty ahead. Next turn, I have to Rebecca get back the Luffy to get back stuff, so... Seven. Alright, what you got? Don't even have to Rebecca here. 6. He doesn't have enough cards to survive here. Putting back Moncherie, you, and where's the other Moncherie? Cherie. And then it's 5, and then it's 9. We win. And the only reason I do that is just because, like, we need to make sure he doesn't have the blocker. We can get 2 attacks at face, right? Because otherwise Zoro's going to cure us. 1 attack. 5 here. And 9. All right. So, yeah, our matchup in a Bonney should be a relatively good one for us. Big part of it is like adding in the Gravity Blades helps with this matchup a ton because of the fact that we can just clear 2 bodies out the board, and that's just a wasted amount of cards for them. Zoras allow us to put decent pressure. Cavendish is a card they have to answer, or we will get card advantage constantly. And if they're definitely going on the Zoro kind of like OTKU type build, they will run out of options of how to deal with us. The more control-y route that is running the, what is it, like 3 Shanks, 3 Dofis, can be a little bit longer, a little bit grindier, and then of which we don't really want to ever swing with Kuzan, even if it is to clear a meaningful body. And the big reason for that is just that we don't want to give them a chance to use Shanks to clear our Kuzan. The only time we'll ever swing with the Kuzan is if they are low on cards and we have a Sabo that we can keep recycling every single turn. Then we will do it. Because then they don't have a way around it. This has to kill KO is a rested character. If we have the 5-drop Sabo, we just keep doing that. Which is why the option of going into 2 5-drop Sabos over 4 is kind of in there, is because Bonney will be more prevalent. But in terms of like the Shanks matchup, that is probably going to be one of our hardest matchups for this meta. I think that we actually benefit pretty well into the fact that Blackbeard's the only black deck. Aramakis are super useful. Gravity Blades are super useful. Once we get to the Kuzan build, a part of the build, we're fine there. And early on, if they have to keep discarding a card every single turn to make sure we can't on play a Zoro, that's perfectly okay for us because of the fact that we just don't care to not have the on play. Just develop the Zoro just so that we have a body going is pretty good. And we have to force more cards out of their hand to answer him. And if they have any rested characters, we just start clearing them, right? And inevitably, yeah, we get into the 10-drop turns, and it's like 10-drop Beard, okay, it's going to turn off Aramaki, 10-drop Beard's going to turn off Kuzan. If they don't ever turn off the Kuzan, then Gravity Blade just clears both of the Beards, and we just start going face at that point. We start winning. That's just how that matchup ends up working out for us in the end. So the only matchup we really have to worry about is going to be Shanks and how they build. If they have a lot of if they're running the 10-drop popper Shanks, it's a little bit more difficult. Divine Departure does make it a little more difficult because of the fact that it can just clear Aramaki now, which is where having 5-drop Sabos might be more beneficial, because if they don't have it the exact turn we drop Aramaki, the following turn we can just drop a 5-drop Sabo, keep Aramaki there. As long as we have the Orlumbus setup going, then we can start clearing 6-drops pretty easily. Otherwise, we're going to be kind of in a spot where it's just like we play the Aramaki and try to use it to get their Divine Departures, and if all their Divine Departures are used as removal, then they have a lot less defenses in the mid to late game. So you just have to play it pretty slow, and you have to slow them down. I know they have a lot of rush. I know it can be very difficult, and that is the matchup where instead of Gravity Blades, Red Rocks become more prevalent. So if you see more Shanks, I think Red Rocks is the thing. If you see more mix of like the Bonnies, I think Gravity Blade's the thing. If you see neither, then you kind of need to do some more experimenting for yourself. But if your biggest matchup you're worried about is Shanks because you see a lot of it, prep with the Red Rocks. If you see a lot more Bonnies and more aggro and kind of more mid-range, prep with the Grav Blades. But until then, guys, I hope this video was helpful. Hope you guys liked it, and hope to see you in the next one. Until then, have a wonderful, wonderful day. Bye, guys.